Here's a song that will get your heart rate up. Every time I sing the word up, reach for the stars. Every time I sing the word down, touch the ground. The rest of the time, march with your knees high. Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, they go down to the down, down. They enchant all the ladies and see all the scenes with their up to the up.
Hello and welcome to the Powell River Airport in Powell River, British Columbia, Canada, home of the Westview Flying Club and its hangars and an eclectic grouping of vehicles in storage, including a few planes, thank God, and a few experimental aircraft, including the Spirit of Mackenzie, my Searey amphibious seaplane that is getting oh so close to being airborne. So please follow along on my YouTube channel, The Spirit of Mackenzie. Subscribe, give me a like if you so appreciate it. Follow along as I take on the challenges, the fun, and the laughs of getting this plane up in the air. My name's Bob Grantham, and this is my YouTube channel. One of Canada's greatest heroes was a pilot called Billy Bishop, a fighter pilot and an ace in World War I, credited with 170 combat missions, 72 kills. His biography, written by his son, who incidentally was a Spitfire pilot in World War II, the biography was called Courage of the Early Morning. It's 7 a.m. this Sunday morning here at Powell River, alongside the Spirit of Mackenzie. It's officially dawn, even though it's quite light now, but I know what the author meant by the courage of the early morning, when you'd much rather be in bed. Your body is sluggish, your mind is slow, coffee is greatly appreciated, and a returning to a warm bed would be even more appreciated. Come on, Bob, back up, show a little courage. Big day today. Got to get this engine finalized, torque everything down, make sure everything's connected, everything's safe, wheel the plane out of the hangar, tire down, and fire up the engine for the first time. Big day. Courage, Bob, courage. Your mission this morning, Mr. Grantham, if you should so choose to accept it, is to remove this slotted brass port plug from the oil pump and insert the Hobbs pressure switch therein. Wire it up appropriately and satisfy the demands of the Skyview Dine-On. If you fail to accept this mission, your mind will explode in 1 minute. Okay, this plug so far has proven to be very difficult to remove, so I've gone out and bought the biggest slotted screwdriver I could find. I even for a while put some tape on it to make sure it was secure in the slot, but that hasn't worked. I put some thread releasing spray on this port bolt a couple of days ago actually, so I'll give it my best, but I really don't want to damage this in trying to get it removed. So to let it know I'm there. And conveniently this screwdriver has a place on the shaft where you can put a wrench to get some extra leverage. Okay, here we go. Well, that was easy. To be honest, I prepped this shot. I worked at it a little bit before I turned the camera on. Okay, here we go. Let's see how much oil is going to pour out. Well, there's some coming for sure. Boy, I hope that's going to fit in there. It's got a nut on here. Okay, I got to get some Loctite blue. Okay, not too much oil came out. I put some Loctite blue thread locker on there.
Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, up, they go down to the down, down. They enchant all the ladies and see all the scenes with their up to the up, up, and their down to the down, down.
Okay, seems pretty darn tight. I can't get a torque wrench on that, but I think that's up to the torque they specify. But the funny thing is, there's still more than 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch of thread showing. But it's in there nice. It's not cross-threaded. It's got the Loctite on it. It'll be okay. Okay. Now I need a wire. And I've got a common and I got a normally open terminal. I think I use the normally open because the common, I believe, is if it's the negative, it's grounded through the engine. What I've got here is wire B1, which I know goes up to the Hobbs hour meter ground. That doesn't make any sense. Check the wiring diagram. B1. Okay, with the oil purging done, I'm now reinstalling spark plugs. I put thermal paste, as specified in the Rotex manual, on the threads of the spark plugs, and I put dielectric grease in the booty that caps the lead onto the spark plug, making sure that the spark plugs are torqued 180 inch-pounds. Sunshine Coast, my ass. Oh, it's a gray, misty day today in Powell River. We're heading across the Salish Sea on the ferry, the Salish Orca, heading towards Comox on Vancouver Island. Powell River is cut off from the north and the south, impassable by road because of the deep fjords, and on the east side by the coast mountains, which are obscured by the clouds today, and on the west side the route out is by ferry over to Vancouver Island. We first have to cross Malaspina Strait in the Salish Sea, and once we get beyond Harwood and Texada Island, we'll be crossing the Strait of Georgia. It's about an hour and a half ferry trip. Usually quite pleasant. Nice calm sea today, but I remember traveling across here in an older ferry as a teenager on either pipe band trips or ice hockey trips, and it'd be horrendous weather out there, getting revoltingly seasick, plunging up and down on the waves, bucking the wind. Wasn't pleasant, but I think we'll have a nice ride today. That's Texada Island, the north end of Texada Island right there. Out here there's a bit of activity underwater. You can see the fish going a bit wild. Oh, there's something big. Oh, it's a whale. Yeah. Not too unusual to see whales out here. Porpoises and orcas, killer whale. Sure gonna be fun to get the spirit of Mackenzie out here and see all this supernatural British Columbia from a better perspective. There she blows. Well, it's not exactly Moby Dick, but it's not a minnow either. Time to put the exhaust system back on the engine. A muffler, common to 4 pipes. Fortunately, the flanges are stamped with the cylinder number, so I can't put it on backwards. Okay, here we go. For each flange, there's 2 studs. Have to be torqued up to 133 inch-pounds. It's important to put some anti-seize on the pipes where they sit in the cylinder heads. looks like a Dungeness eaten crab. This is where I'm going to find out if there's any interferences with equipment that I put on the engine since I last took this off. This is a copper anti-seize from Permatex. High temperature. I think I'll put a little bit of Loctite blue on the threads. This particular muffler and exhaust type system I purchased off Canadian Light Aircraft, the Searey Canada distributor. It's a sort of an after sale. It's not part of the Rotex supply, though they have a lot of comments in the manuals about what the correct muffler configuration should look like. Then it's up to you to find a supplier. Okay. Try tightening these up a bit. So this is set for 133 inch-pounds. You have to make sure that the flange doesn't come in contact with the cylinder head, apparently. Okay, and you also got to make sure that you tighten up the flanges evenly. Not a lot of room for these socket heads. So I've torqued up all 8 stud bolts to 133 inch-pounds using one torque meter, and then checking with doing it with a torque wrench, and now checking it with the torque meter. Anyway, whatever. So that's done. Okay, now what I have to do is on each pipe attach a spring from here to here, and each spring then has to be safety wired, and you put high temperature epoxy inside to sort of cancel out the vibrations. Boy, I don't know. I'm not sure how I'm going to get this spring from this point to here without wrecking the spring or having it shoot off like a missile. have to put some thought into that. Maybe off camera so I don't bore you. Or you don't see me up to something devious. The CKT muffler and exhaust pipes require 2 springs on each side. One to hold each of the pipes. I suppose to damp out vibration. I'm not sure exactly what their full purpose is, but it's important to make sure that the springs are in place. And they caution you, as they did in my maintenance course, not to use pliers to pull the spring, as you could nick it and damage it, but to use a spring puller. I don't know what a spring puller is, so I used this tool, which came with my screwdrivers. Never used it before, other than for poking holes in things, but it was great. It worked perfectly for pulling the springs out and seating them on the loops. Now what I have to do is I run a safety wire through each spring and these loops on each end. And that safety wire is to prevent pieces of the spring or the spring itself from getting into the prop if it breaks. And then I run a bead of epoxy, silicone, something, clear silicone, and to dampen out vibrations, I believe, in the spring. Okay, let's do that. Well, down to the short strokes of getting the engine ready to fire up for the first time. So we'll have to put the air filters on the intakes of the carburetors. Okay, looks fairly simple. So just tighten that up on there, I presume. But I notice in many of the pictures of the videos I've seen, they've got this filter safety wired onto the carburetor. And I don't have a hole, so maybe I gotta drill a hole in here. And then find a place to put the wire to. I'm buzzed by a hornet right now. I fall off the ladder, that's why. Snug. That ain't gonna come off. Having said that, I better put a wire on it because, you know, that'd be the safe thing to do. Okay, I'm just gonna drill a little hole in here for a safety wire. This may seem like a bit of a detail or anal point, putting safety wires and all these things, but I'm pretty sure every one of these recommendations comes from a hard lesson learned. And you can just imagine if this filter was to come off and go through the prop, what havoc that would cause. And this is pretty difficult, or pretty easy to do. And I enjoy doing safety wiring. Not any master, I'm not even an apprentice at it, but I enjoy doing it. Just got to get these sharp ends out of the way because you don't want your safety wire to be a safety hazard. There, that looks good. So quite some time ago I assembled the warp drive propeller and I didn't torque up all the bolts. Now's the time to do it. When I assembled it, I set the pitch angle at 12 degrees. Which was the recommended pitch angle when I called Warp Drive and talked to one of their technicians. So as I understand it, during first start, we check to see what the maximum RPM will be on the engine. It should be somewhere around 5,800. And if it's more than that, then you got to give a little more pitch on the prop to slow the engine down. That's what I understand. So now I've already used the torque wrench, 175 inch-pounds on these 6 hub bolts, and I'll just check them with the torque meter. I've numbered the bolts so I don't lose track as I try to do this in a balanced manner. So number one. Turn it on, Bob. Jeez. One. Voila! The prop is ready to spin.
Those magnificent men in their flying machines, they go up to the up, they go down to the down, they enchant.
Burping the baby. Oh, that's a satisfying burp. Electric fuel pump is on. Throttle to idle. Starting carb on. Start for 10 seconds.